Oh, there's my microphone. Glory be. Rob, you're on too now. Hello, everybody. Welcome back. My name is John. This is my channel, The Origin Factory. We are with Rob Stone again. Trying to figure out this live stream business. And there. Ta-da. Rob is doing Rob stuff. There we go. You are with us, Rob.
Hi.
Can you hear me? Yeah. Okay. Awesome.
I can. Let's see if this doesn't make that better. I'm trying to make the lighting better.
Oh, I'm having issues too with devices. Devices are fun. Devices are necessary. Devices are a pain in the butt for us older folk. Anyway, whoa, there we got some light. There we go. Now it's working. So today, one thing I wanted to talk about was, let's see. There's my overhead shot. I was been trying to make that work. First I wanted to talk about tariffs because that seems to be the hot topic around everywhere. And of course, we don't really know what it's going to mean for our hobby yet. But what I was going to do was read a letter from a supplier that I deal with, just so you can kind of get a feel for what people in the industry are already preparing for and considering.
Hey, John.
Yes, sir.
You don't have me on the. You don't have me on the split screen.
That's because you were stumbling around doing other things, so I turned your camera off.
Oh,
are you going to sit down now?
Yeah. I was just trying to make the lighting better.
Okay. So anyways, I was just going to read a quick letter here from a supplier. It says, "Dear valued customer, don't panic. We don't know if these tariffs will remain or be negotiated down in the near future, so there is no sense in worrying too much about them right now." It goes on to say, tariffs are paid by the U.S. importer at the time the container or pallets arrive at a U.S. port. We won't know what tariffs, if any, are going to be levied on our product that hasn't been produced yet, or even if is production and hasn't been scheduled to ship. So we're going to wait until we know for sure if there are extra expenses before we ask anyone to pay more than we previously invoiced them for. Instead of us just blindly raising prices, we will ask customers to help us with the cost of the tariff at the time their models arrive. It will be voluntary. We don't want our loyal customers to be discouraged over a small $20 to $50 extra expense per model. We thank you for your continued support and wish you all the best. So that is one producer, and I had another one that I had got an email from the other day too, and they said they were just going to initially raise prices 5% just to make sure they were covered just in case anything arose from these tariffs. They weren't going to, because people are speculating that just because, they're going to raise it 30%, 40%, 60%, that's directly going to be passed on to the customer. And so I wanted to show you that or read you some of this stuff so you don't think that the manufacturers, the resellers are going to do that to us. So it sounds like they're trying to keep a level head about this, let it play out and see what actually becomes of it before doing a panic knee-jerk response. So as of now, I wouldn't expect too much drastic change because it's all new. I mean, the people we're imposing tariffs on, I mean, the United States, they don't want it. And we don't really want to do it either. It's more of an economic thing to balance the trading between our countries. And China is fighting back hard right now, and they're trying to do tit for tat and double down and all that stuff, which it needs to happen anyways, because China we've been underneath China's boot for a long time, but not to get too political. But anyways, you can look at it from this side too. Not everything that we bring in, that we get from China is going to come back to America, but they may go to other nations that are more friendlier to us. Like Vietnam, for example, is trying to do a 0 for 0, meaning we tariff them 0, they tariff us 0. There's other nations that are much friendlier to us. And so production may shift to these other countries that are friendly to our country. So I wouldn't be terribly worried about it in the long run. I think it'll balance itself over time, and we just have to ride it out and see what happens. Have you had any thoughts on this yet, Rob, or haven't you been worried about it or thinking about it?
Honestly, I hadn't really been thinking about it. I've seen some of this previously with the airplane stuff, with the container fees going up. So I I know that a company like Extreme Flight, they said, "Hey, we have a new container fee, but until we know exactly what it's going to be, we're not going to just jump the gun." Now they did put the container fee in. A bunch of people complained, and then they backed off of it a little bit. But I think it's back, and I think it was their way of getting people used to the fact of a fee. But we'll see going forward if they come down any.
Uh huh.
I'm not on the split screen on my camera, John.
You're not, you mean you're not seeing split screen?
I see it on YouTube, but I don't see it on the camera like before. So the lag with YouTube is kind of throwing it off.
Sure.
Oh.
Let's see. Da, 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 da. We'll just make it the Rob show today.
No, don't do that. Did you see? Look, I came prepared today.
You got notes?
No, I
Oh,
brought snacks.
I had to
Uh,
I had to subscribe to the extra service now for the software because they only had only so many hours of guest on the regular service, and it says you're run out of time. It's like, what? I
oh,
got to
God.
upcharge for everything. There's everything's a la carte in life now. Just give you enough
Yeah.
to get started, and then it's like, well, if you want to continue to do this, here you go. Now you got to pay this. So,
Hey,
anyways,
how do I sound? Do I sound better this time?
it's a little echoey. I would try to move forward a little bit.
Okay, hold on. I'm gonna try something else. All right. Okay, let's see. Does this help? Oh, you know what? I know how to fix that. Hold on one second. You do your thing.
See, then Rob's going to disappear again. Bye, Rob. So, uh, Jersey Scaler, as long as Vanquish left untouched, I'm a good. Laugh out loud. We don't have tariffs imposed on Taiwan, do we? You know, Jersey Scaler, that stuff is changing day to day. And according to the administration, that they are actively working with every country that's coming forward right now that wants to negotiate it. So, this, I think the media is making it out to be a bigger deal than it is at the current moment. And I think it's just going to play out. Cause Taiwan is a country we're friendly with, as well as like South Korea and Vietnam. And I know all those countries are currently actively working with America to come to some type of agreement. So I honestly feel it's going to play out. I think all this hype initially is just for clickbait to get people to tune into their newscast or whatever to try and find more information. So, but that wasn't
Okay,
what
I'm
we were.
back. How does that sound?
But that wasn't. I got to put you back on the screen. There we go. There's Rob doing Rob stuff in beautiful Texas. What do you got for weather today, Rob?
Dude, it's like 75 and sunny. It's a little windy, but it's not bad.
Yeah, I don't know what we're at. I think we're bouncing around just above freezing, low 40s, something like that. But we don't
Yeah.
have any snow on the ground, so that's a good thing. Um, One thing me and Rob had talked about was there's with with Vanquish's products, it seems like every time there's a new influx of people that come about into the hobby, they start researching the older models and the stuff that's out of production. And now we've got some confusion within the brand because we have some overlapping names. We have an H10 origin and we have a VS410 origin. And what's on the camera currently, that's a VS410 origin. And that one is one that I custom anodize it into gray. Normally the colors are clear or black, meaning the anodizing is clear or black. Clear would be a silver like finish and black is black, of course. But um and so as Vanquish experiences this, surge in business and new interest, and then people are interested in their past product, and there's a lot of confusion over what exactly some of the products are. And for example, what is an origin? I mean, they're very hard to find still in the box. They do pop up once in a while, new unbuilt ones, of course. And they do get a premium dollar, especially if they're sealed, unbuilt, that kind of stuff. I've seen them as in the $3,000 range, and they originally sold for, I think it was $900, and I think it was in 2016, I believe is when this came out. And so the way most of you are going to find this is in parts, because these were originally intended to be used and driven and enjoyed and played with, as we play with our toy trucks. So I was just going to go over some of the parts on it that are unique to it that really aren't available anymore, at least not available from Vanquish. Some of the parts are, but most of them are not. And so if you want to build one, these are the parts that you need. And by all means, this is just, I'm just going to cover it in the way that Vanquish originally sold it. There's ways to bypass some of these parts, to cheat it, whatever. And by all means, make it your own personal version if that's what you enjoy. This isn't a commentary on what's right or wrong. If you enjoy it, build it. If you want to build one, do it. But from collectability standpoint, if you're wondering why some of these get a lot of money and some of them don't, and maybe you're not really clear on what's exactly makes an origin an origin. Rob's got a business called Xtreme Toyz, and he has bought and sold a lot of these. And that's how I met Rob originally. I bought one from him. And now he's finally owning one versus reselling it. And he's kind of learning his way through them right now.
You seem to think I'm going to sell it.
Dude, the only thing you haven't sold is your wife.
It's because I'm worth less than she is, so I don't want to.
But so anyway, some of the parts. So if you're going to build one, some of the parts you would need. There's a kit from Vanquish. It's called Skid Plate Cross Members. It's VPS 10115. And it's only $17 from Vanquish. It's quite reasonable, actually. And that provides you with this plastic cross member here. It provides you with a skid for a 3-gear, because as you know, most of Vanquish's products now are using their transmission of VFD versus a axial based 3-gear. You know, the Ripper and the VS410 Origin were both designed to use a 3-gear, but that was early in the company's history, so they didn't have their VFD transmission yet. And then this parts kit also comes with a plastic servo mount cross member, and it also comes with the plastic supports for you to use we call it a horseshoe battery tray, because this piece is actually a horseshoe. This is all one piece. So I call it a horseshoe battery tray. And so there's supports behind here that go to the frame, and those come in this kit also. And so it's really pieces that you need for sure. But like if you're going to build say you just want to run the Origin body and some of the Origin pieces, and you're going to run a VFD, of course you would use a different skid. But when you use the VFD, then you can no longer use the horseshoe battery tray. Then you have to use the battery tray that relocates behind the transmission. So that's some of the little idiosyncrasies of making this all work. And of course, we got the sliders here, which are aluminum. And then we have underneath here, some of us call them standoffs, and there's these little aluminum brackets. Let me grab I think I got a pair sitting here.
Yeah, there's a lot of little detail pieces that go into making it an Origin. It's way more than what the average person thinks.
Yeah, and so here's the standoffs still attached to the Delrin skid. So these two little pieces right here, these were used on the VS410 Origin, and they were used on the Ripper. On the Ripper, they were used to attach the cage to the chassis. And then on the Origin, it's used to attach the sliders to the frame. And I don't have these on yet, but there's also these little L pieces here that pinch the body to the exterior of the slider. And they do make, because for the Vanquish Pro and the Ultra, they made plastic sliders that are dimensional, they almost look exactly the same as the aluminum ones. So that's definitely a less expensive way if you're not having to have exactly an Origin, whatever exactly is original type deal. That's a way to get by this. And there's also a filler piece here from the Pro and the Ultra kits that bridges that gap also, that's plastic. So that's one way to navigate around that area and still have the same features as an Origin, for example. So you could use the plastic standoff, which is a solid piece, and then you can mount your sliders. You can mount the plastic sliders to it. And then in the front, we have, this one's kind of hard to see, but where the servos mount, this is the upgraded one, the elusive braces. So this is a brace kit, which when you see people on the Facebook groups looking for the brace kit, this is the elusive brace kit. It mounts right here behind the transmission, and then it replaces the plastic servo mount with aluminum one, and then it also steps down and goes forward to bridge the upper frame, or the end of the frame rails, and then pinch between the front bumper. So
John,
this, yes, sir.
did the braces ever come clear?
No, because they talked about that in their live stream not that long ago. It sounds like they were always anodized black to match the chassis and match the other plastic pieces. It sounds like they did have a few that were prototypes that they never did get, stuff that they were before they went into production just for their uses. But typically, well, I think they were raw, not clear, the ones they had, the prototypes. But typically, they don't sell stuff raw. But these standoffs, these are actually raw. I don't think these are anodized. They don't look anodized. These actually look raw,
Were
which is,
those were
yes,
those
sir.
ever color matched? Like if you ordered a clear one, did they come raw? If you ordered a black one, did they come black, or were they always raw?
The standoffs?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, the standoffs are always raw. I've never seen them a color. And they were always part of a kit. I have never seen these like in a packaged parts kit or anything like that. So I don't know if these were ever sold as individuals. I mean, they were also on the, what's the Spider for the SCX10, what was that slider kit?
The Poison Spider?
Yeah, they made it for Axial. It was that slider kit they made, and they used these standoffs in that product also. And this attached the sliders to the chassis. Oh God, what were they called? Anybody remember that? I don't have them anymore. I sold them all off because I knew I was never going to use them for anything. Jersey Scaler says, I have an issue with selling and regretting. Yeah, problem on my 15th VS410. Yeah, Rob knows that about me. I'm a builder, not a seller. I just acquire stuff. Rob's is better with selling stuff than I am. Jersey Scaler
Yeah,
also
that's why
saying,
I have 200. Yeah, I'm great at selling.
yeah, you don't have 200 VS410s though. Not a
No,
bad
I have.
parts.
Yeah, no, that's true.
Jersey Scaler also saying not a bad parts kit to build a custom 410 and shave some weight. Yeah, referring to this skid plate cross member kit. But yeah, so these standoffs, they're kind of elusive. They're hard to find. I mean, a lot of these parts are hard to find now, but some of them are a premium, like these chassis braces. I've seen these selling over $300 now. The sliders, I'm seeing new ones sell for over 150. Bumpers, front and rear, I'm seeing those sell for $300 to $400 just for the pair, for nice ones. And then, 3 gear, of course, is still available from Vanquish. You can buy a VS410 chassis kit and get the frame rails and the horseshoe battery tray. So that VS410
Are the
chassis kit is a good way to start. It's a good place to start. Yes, Rob?
is the frame rails the same between the VS410 and the Origin?
Oh, yeah, that's another one for the rivet counters. So like this is not this is not an original Origin chassis. So where the chassis upsweeps right here, there's 2 holes drilled. The other one's covered by the rear chassis brace, but you probably see it a little bit, trying to catch the light so you can see the shadow a little bit. But yeah, so your current VS410 chassis rails have 2 holes in this area. The original Origin ones only have this hole drilled. And that's one of those things that's hard to cheat because these rails are light gauge metal. It's not like you're going to weld one of these up and repowder coat this frame rail because they're not worth that much money. But that's just kind of one way to spot an original Origin or not. I've got a bunch of Origin frame rails from ones that I've parted out, and they're all beat to heck. But it's like, what do you do with old frame rails? You know, hold on to them for now. If somebody really wants them, you have them. But so here's the bottom side of those standoffs, and they have Delrin on them, and so did the spider or the spider kit. What was that? It was called oh my god, Brawlers or something. I don't. It's escaping me right now. But anyways, so these Delrins, I don't see these out in the wild replacements. I have been building new ones. The only downside to my new ones are these are twice as thick. I mean, but we're talking what I think the original ones were 1/16 of an inch, and so we're doubling the thickness to 1/8 of an inch. So it's not a huge jump, but it's, you know, I'm getting into rivet counter type stuff, which not everybody's on that level with this type of stuff, which I don't expect you to be, but this is just to give you more information than you need and do with it how you feel. Another thing with the original Origins, they always had black hardware everywhere. And back to the brace kit. The brace kit was something they developed later, and that's why it's in this unique packaging where it shows you how to install it with directions. So after they released the original Origin, the first one was clear. They were seeing people with frame rails tweaked, and these giant bumpers on here, which, I mean, they look cool. They built them for the purpose of, you know, protection and stuff like that. You know, this rear one is huge. It has all this wraparound. And what they realized later was they really get in the way with crawling, you know, going up vertical surfaces, you know, trying to go up and over stuff. And so people are planting these bumpers into stuff and tweaking the whole chassis. And so this brace kit was to help alleviate that and transfer or tighten up this whole chassis so it can't, you know, I was in the auto body business. You'd get situations where you call the frame would be a diamond. So you got 2 frame rails. One frame rail will be further forward than the other, or one's pushed back, vice versa, whatever you want to call it. And so it goes from a perfect rectangle to a diamond because one frame rail's longer. And so that's what these chassis, this brace kit was supposed to do, is tie the frame rails together better, because what was bridging them across was all plastic. And so they offered this to buy, you know, to owners of the original clear one. I think they started providing them along with the kit, and then they also was like a mail it out to owners type thing, like, hey, I got this kit, can you send me a brace kit? And they send it to you. So there's a bunch of these floating around from people that never put them in, and that's how I got a package that's unopened, is some of them never saw the relevance of putting it in, so they just held on to them forever. So and then the black Origins, which means all the anodized pieces are black versus clear or whatever, you know, those, the brace kit came inside. So if you were to buy a new in the box clear Origin, I don't know if they ever put these in the box. I think this may have, I don't know if they eventually incorporated them into the box or not. I haven't seen one where they were in the box. So if you're buying a new in box clear one, I would definitely ask them if the braces are included, because as they came from the factory, they may have never had the braces in the kit. The black kit should have them in there no matter what, because by that time that was just a regular part of the kit. And then of course the axles on these are D44s, which is, I think it was their first axles that they designed themselves and built for their own product. These are still available, and I think the empty housings are like $115, $20, $130 each. And then you got to buy the guts, and then the front ones you have to buy the knuckles separate. So to build a pair of axles new for one of these is, you're pushing $600. So when you see some of these parts, why they're so expensive is this whole truck was really expensive. And that's why, the Pro and the Ultra, they got rid of a lot of this aluminum stuff and just left the axles aluminum and get their price down. And, this kit was, meaning the Origin kit, I think was 9 something. And then the Pro and the Ultra were a little over 700 or something like that. And then they came out with the Phoenix where, it was plastic axles and they had their VFD transmission and it had plastic bumpers, everything. And then the price really got down there. And that's when they really started to take off, I feel. Because they started to offer a product that was more budget friendly to the masses. So my only little thing is the hang up with the name. They got the H10 Origin now, which whatever is what it is. So anyways, yeah, that's kind of the Origin in a nutshell. And then they got 90 millimeter incision shocks on there, which is their brand. And the 3-gear, a 3-gear, what's a 3-gear now? $169 from Vanquish. And then you got $600 to build
like that.
You get $600 to build the axles. I mean, I've seen nice Origins sell for over $1,500. I mean, you got that much in parts easily. Because if those braces are now up around 300, 400, somewhere in there, if you can find them, it just, the thing is a parts pit as far as money, So definitely, if you like the looks of the Origin and you don't want to pay for all the pieces, yeah, there's ways to cut corners on it and have the same thing basically in looks and just to enjoy it. But if you're restoring one, yeah, it's an expensive truck to build. How is your project
And
going with
isn't
yours?
there a
Oh,
Oh, mine's good. I actually ran it yesterday. It was nice.
nice.
It surprisingly performs better than I was expected. Um, you and I had talked about what was the frame rails. You were asking me about some frame rails a while back. What's those special frame rails you were talking about?
Attached to what project? Was it an Origin or?
Yeah, I think it was an Origin. You said there was some aftermarket frame rails or something that you were always keeping an eye out for. They don't pop
Oh,
up
that
very
was for
often.
the Ripper. There was a machine shop
Oh,
that
okay.
made frame rails specific for the Ripper, so they're reproductions of the axial rails, you know,
Okay.
and those go for
Sorry.
big money if you can find a pair. That's kind of that unobtainium stuff,
Yeah.
I forgot the
And then
company. I forgot who made them. Mario Rodriguez, he's good with knowing all those individual parts and history for the Ripper.
and then when you're building front axles for an Origin, I know that I've seen some of the Vanquish axles have that red um little ring in the universal of the front axle down in the universal joint. Did these always come with a universal style, or did they come more with a CVD, or was that just am I just
All
imagining
those
things?
upgraded ones?
Yes.
Oh, I've never. I I thought that was to upgrade an axial product. I didn't think that was for their axles. Oh, I have to
No,
look. I have to look. I
I
have to
thought
look
Vank.
that one up.
Yeah, because I think my Pro, I think my Pro has those Vanquish. They've got a little red ring on them, and they say they got a V, the Vanquish V.
Yeah,
That's the only
yeah.
reason I'd
I
ask.
have. I don't. I've never had a set of those.
Oh, okay.
I've always used the
And then
original
inner
black ones.
fenders.
Oh yeah, that's another thing with the Origin. I well, let me look up those axle shafts real quick before we go into the inner fenders.
Oh, let me see if I got some.
Portal axle
Oh,
shafts VDI. Well, that's the Portal ones.
well, I may have lied to you, John. I don't have any anymore, but
Uh-huh.
I've had some. Crap. Oh well.
Yeah, I've
I didn't
seen
know
them
if that made
too.
a difference when you're building an origin. I just know that, going back to the Tamaya days, that it's very they're very specific on, what parts can go in what cars because some things were produced after, so they're not really considered, you know, to be part of that car.
Let me switch to my other screen and I will pull them up here now. Are these the ones you're talking about? I know you're seeing a little bit of a delay, Rob, but these ones say specifically for
Yes.
the these ones say specifically for AR60s, the
Yes.
VVD.
Yeah. I've seen those in a couple sets of axles that I've had over the years, so I just didn't know
Yeah, I don't think
if
they've.
that
I
was
don't. I don't think
post
they've.
origin.
Well, these don't. These fit in a bigger axle. I don't think these fit in the because the D44s are same as what AR44s or whatever they call them. What's the axial
Okay.
housings?
Yeah,
The,
the AR-44.
yeah, the AR60 is a much wider.
Okay. Well, I like I said, and then the other question I had too, and is the inner fenders. What's the difference?
Uh, I you keep talking for a second, and I will find a pair.
Okay. Well, I just know that this has kind of actually been a lot of fun. I've had a lot of origins, and I've taken them apart because they're typically worth more money in parts than they are whole. So now learning, you're educating me, so it's kind of neat. Oh, looky there, the famed cutout foam.
You're
Oh
seeing
boy.
me? I have. How are you? I got that camera shut off. How are you seeing me? That's weird. I don't know what the hell's going
Oh,
on.
I'm seeing you on my remember I'm logged into the chat or into the live stream via my phone, and then I watched the YouTube on my new laptop. That was my surprise for you.
Right. What is showing up on YouTube?
Just me.
Oh, okay. So I was wondering about you. I was
I'm
wondering
looking.
how. I
I'm
was wondering
looking
how you
kind of.
saw. I was wondering how you saw the foam.
Yeah. Yeah. No, yeah. No, I look like I'm about. I think it's about a 30 or 45-second delay on YouTube. But yeah,
No, no.
so
I'm
I
wondering
have
how
my
you saw.
phone
I
above.
wonder how you saw the. I wonder how you saw the foam when I don't have my camera on. Is what I'm getting at. How are you seeing that? I.
So okay, on my phone, on the guest
Yep.
eCam live thing that you sent
Yep.
me,
Yep.
so I only see your camera that's facing at your face with your microphone all the time.
Oh.
It never shows anything different.
Oh. Gotcha. Gotcha.
Everybody's getting a behind the scenes.
Yeah.
We're lifting the curtain.
They're learning with us, unfortunately.
Yeah. Hey,
So
they can say they were in on the ground floor.
yeah, yeah, they watched the ship sink. They were on the Titanic. Uh-huh.
Hey,
So
there's conspiracy there.
uh-huh. So here's an here's an inner fender off an origin. Why is it specific to the origin? Let's see if I can get a good spot where you can see the. There we go. Let's slide that tray out. There. So you see these two holes here. The two holes right next to each other, those are origin inner fenders. Now, the Pro and the Ultra used a similar inner fender, but the two holes are spread apart. And that's the way they're currently available from Vanquish. That's the newer version, the updated version. So here's another oddball part that's impossible to find because these are made out of Lexan. These don't survive unless they were never mounted. So, yeah, extremely rare, but can you get a lot of money for them? Or how much is somebody going to pay for a chunk of Lexan, you know? So they're around, they're floating around. People don't get rid of them too often. They're hard to find. So I mean, it's more of a hunting exposition to build a origin than anything because the parts aren't always worth that much. Just trying to find somebody that's willing to let them go. But so
Well,
here's the
I can tell you the hunt's a lot of the fun.
yeah. It's I still regret meeting you. No, just kidding. Anyway,
Most people do.
so as I was showing before, here is the frame rail of an actual origin. So you see, you got this is the area behind the transmission. Your transmission would be mounted here, the skid would. This is the rear, where the frame starts to go uphill here. This is a origin frame rail. It's got one hole. The current version of these frame rails have two holes, for example. And this is the parts tray that comes in the origin kit. So if when you open up an origin from the top, this is first thing you see when you open the box, which has got this beautiful piece of presentation, you know. It would have been cool to see this with the new H10 origin. They had the parts laid out like this, but whatever. They didn't do it that way, but that's just the way it is.
Well, I can tell you their presentation is pretty epic on all their kits, but yeah, especially on these early VS410 Origins. I like I said, you and I've talked about this before. I was late to the brand. I always knew of the brand. I knew more of them for axial parts and wheels, but have learned to admire a lot that they have done because they've done a lot. So
Yes.
a lot of people don't realize how far they have
Yeah, there's a lot of
spread
people
into
that
the
are just
hobby.
coming in recently. I mean, that's credit to the brand. I mean, you want new people coming in for the success of the company. Um, you keep stepping away. Anyway,
I'm sorry. I had to scratch my nose. Is that okay? I didn't think people wanted me to see.
as long as you don't flick it on the camera. But yeah, I mean,
Well,
that's and oh, I forgot what they said the first year for Vanquish was. Was it? Well, I'm not a historian on Vanquish. I'm not going to attempt to remember that. But anyways, they were making parts for other brands for several years before they ever came out with their first kit, which was the Origin. So, um, yeah, because that was 20. No, I forgot. 2012, 2016, 2018. 2016, I think, was the Origin. 2018 was the Ripper, I think. So as far as them building complete kits, I mean, that's semi-recent, last 8-9 years. So, and now they've got three, well, yeah, three unique platforms, I guess. You got the VS410, you got the Optic, and you got the VRD style. So now they got a comp chassis, a ladder frame chassis, and then they got a buggy. So they're kind of covering all the bases now.
well, and look at how much Vanquish has inspired a lot of other companies, as far and other segments of the hobby, as
Yeah.
far as You know, the VS410 has become a very versatile
Yeah.
platform that
Yeah.
whole other companies have come just because of that.
Well, it is a sign of their success. I mean, they were the hunter for the long time. The hunter has now become the prey, meaning, look at the abundance of aftermarket stuff that came out right after the optic. I don't think they even saw it coming that fast. I mean, they were coming out with
Oh
aluminum
no.
chassis, tube chassis. There's at least three notable chassis companies or companies producing chassis in a short time afterwards. And even Treel and a couple knockoffs on the axles and before Vanquish even got into that stuff. And Bart just chimed in. He says, I got in when the Pro was first released. Bart, do you remember what year that was roughly? Because I'm guessing must have been, boy, 2016. It was after the Ripper, so maybe 2019, 2020, maybe somewhere in there. I'm guessing. I don't know their history that well, but yeah, I mean, I got in with the cheaper stuff. The Phoenix was my first Vanquish, and with a VFD twin.
Okay, so the Origin was released mid 2018,
Okay.
and the Pro was released December 5th, 20. That doesn't make no. Pro were launched December 5th, 2024. That doesn't sound right.
No,
No.
no, that's last year. That's no,
Yeah. Oh wait, here, let me try this.
because the ones that were released last year was the VRD and the Optic.
Okay, it says late July 2019 is when the Pro was released.
That makes sense because the Ripper was 2018, and I think the Origin was 2016, and so then the Ultra must have came within another year or so.
Uh, wow, it didn't pull up an instant date. It's making me dig for that one.
But
Hmm. Yeah, because the Ultra came with portal axles. So that,
yes,
yeah, that was definitely, yeah.
and the
So,
transmission had a few less upgrades or something like that. They always talked about how the Pro had the best transmission because almost pretty much every part was upgraded on the VFD in that one. And then the Ultra, you got portals and supposedly few less premium parts in the transmission or something like that. Both, of course, had aluminum housings. And then the VFD twin didn't come out, I think, until the Phoenix was released. I think that was the
it's
first thing.
saying Vanquish Products as a company known for their premium RC crawler kits and accessories was started in 2015. So if they went from 2015 and they were able to release the Origin in 2018, that's pretty
Well,
fast.
Origin was 2016.
2016, yeah, wow, that's
Yeah.
fast.
Yeah.
Think about that. That's a lot of wow.
Yeah, that sounds. I think they've been in business longer than that, though. I don't know. Somebody will
Yeah.
chime in on that. I thought it was more like a 2011, 2012 or something like that. They started making parts. But yeah,
Man,
Origin
we're
was.
pumping the crap out of Vanquish.
Yeah, we got
Where's
10 people.
where's the love?
We got 10 people watching.
Ooh.
Dude, that was so heartbreaking yesterday. I have another YouTube channel. I'm not going to promote it on this one because it's not related to the hobby at all. So if you find me on the YouTuberverse on that channel, great. If not, I'm not going to pimp it here. But anyways, I did a live stream on that. It's a newer channel. It's got very little following, and I did a live stream yesterday, and watching it say 0 the whole time. It's like, oh my gosh, what a humbling experience sitting there talking to yourself. And now we got 11 people. So it's like, wow, that could fill a room. not setting the world on
Oh,
fire,
that's
but
bad.
that's a lot more people than 0, 11 people, we could push a car out of a mud hole. That's enough people to get something done.
Well, hey, that's
Not
enough people that require a flat tip if we went to a restaurant. Remember? Anything over
Oh
7,
god, yeah.
they get to charge a
I thought you were going to say something perverted about your flat tip. But anyways,
no.
no. Oh
I'll save
lordy.
that for a later.
Yeah. Anyways,
Got to
so
leave some mystery out there to get everybody coming back.
yeah. Well, I don't know. Nobody wants to see that, right? Ooh, Alan, 4 a.m. in Australia. Alan's been following the channel for a while. Alan just chimed in. 4 a.m. in Australia time. Alan, you are now heading into winter. How is your weather still if you're watching? Me and Alan share weather stuff here and there because they get ungodly heat. Well, I mean, you in Texas, you get some nasty heat too, but
With humidity.
yeah. Yeah, well, we get humidity too. We just don't get as much heat. Anyways, well, let's switch over to Leaf Springs now before we get totally sidetracked.
I like leaves.
I know you do, and I haven't built one yet. I have the parts and the pieces. I have some of the parts and pieces. I don't have everything yet. I have a Bouncing Betty 5 chassis with a trail duster, and then I have a VS410 kit from Twisted Fabco. Is that who made that,
Yes,
Rob?
Twisted Fab yes.
And then Northwest Scalar Design built the Bouncing Betty, right?
Yeah, they have so yours is a Duster with a BBV5 chassis. Believe it's the longer wheelbase. So, the long wheelbase version. But yours is a limited edition truck. He only did like 30 something this time.
Oh, on the Trail Duster?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's 24 is my chassis. Alan in Australia is saying t-shirt weather for me on my walk today. Very pleasant, not hot. So I'm sure they're getting like their fall weather now, kind of end of the season type stuff. We're merging into summer and he's probably merging into winter.
I
But
need to educate myself because I didn't know that Australia had like do they get cold? Like you I mean not like you. You get really cold. But I
Alan,
thought they were pretty temperament.
well, they also get a rainy season though too. It's kind of like like your winter, Florida winter. It's not snow, but you get a definite change in seasons where it's not as dry.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? It's not as hot, but maybe Alan will add a little bit to that. But um, do you have one of your Leafer chassis handy? Do you have a Twisted Fabco that's built
I have my 410 I can go grab.
with leaves?
But I have my Duster. My Duster is right there. My Eco Truck is there, and my Rooster is right there. That's why I turned so you could see them. I was kind of showing them off.
Oh. Well, the lighting's so poor. All I see is shadowy figures.
I know. I was trying to work on the lighting for me. That was another surprise today.
No. That's
I brought you back into the layer.
right.
Which one
Right.
would you like me to grab?
I wanted to see a VS410 with leaves.
Okay, give me 2 minutes. Can you do
So,
that?
yeah, of course I can. I can ramble on
Okay,
for several minutes.
two and two, two and two.
It shouldn't take you that long, but anyways. So yeah, we've been just talking about origins a little bit and talking about leaf springs now. Rob's going to dig out his Twisted Fabco leaf spring conversion chassis. I have the parts for one. I haven't dove into that project yet. Rob kind of got me interested in building a couple leaf spring trucks. So like I said, I did get a Twisted Fabco VS410 kit, and then I also got a Northwest Scalar Design Trail Duster. And the Trail Duster, comes unfinished. It's a completed chassis with a body. You're paying a lot for the body. I mean, it's a really nice detailed body, of course, but um
And heavy duty.
yeah, the body's really stout on Northwest Scalar Design. They're
Yeah, yeah. He
yeah,
prints them thick. I like it.
yeah, some people don't know. Hello, Mark. Mark Saxton saying hi. Um not you know, 3D printing stuff is still new to a lot of us, and I was a little apprehensive about the Northwest Scalar Design until I saw it, and it's like, man, this thing is thick. This thing is going to be tough. It's definitely strong. I'm sure he had some learning as he started developing these bodies, but yeah, the ones he's putting out now, they're very stout. Definitely feel like that's going to hold up.
I think the weight helps a lot with the leaf spring trucks too.
Yeah, you'd said that to me before about putting a little bit of preload on the springs just from the weight.
Yeah, it makes them work a little more efficiently.
Alan's saying we have snow fields with ski resorts in 2 states. I didn't realize Australia called them states. Because
I didn't
I
either.
think they got 5. I don't remember. Bart, my first pro I won from Beef Tubes in 2019 on a whim entry. Then it was only Vanquish since. Always a good discussion here too, guys. Well, thanks, Bart. Mark Saxon. Hey, I just won the new Vanquish kit on Josh's contest. Nice. Was Mark,
Sweet.
was that for one of the hashtag contests they had recently? Is that what it was? Or was this through Josh's personal YouTube? Just curious. So you got the body off of that rig now?
Yeah,
Okay. Can you
yeah,
hold it up to the camera? Or
sure. Voila. Actually, here, how about this? Let me flip the camera around as I drop the truck, and we'll go at it that way. Let's see here. Can we do that? I don't know that we can do that. No, it's not going to let me flip the camera, John.
it's easy. You
Wait,
just
maybe back camera. Pow. How's that?
yeah, it's black.
Can
It's
you see it?
dark. It's nothing. And hey, Rob's gone. Bye, Rob. And is he back?
Uh,
Good job, buddy.
I'm. What the heck? Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Okay.
actually, it's a little
I sounded
dark.
better a second ago, didn't I?
You can get closer. I'm gonna give. I'm gonna put you as the only camera right now,
Okay.
so people can see it better. So that's a VS410 chassis with the twisted Fabco leaf kit with pricey shocks, and it looks like HD 44s. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
No, these are actually no. These are not Prices. These are those LX
Oh,
shocks that I'm talking
yeah,
about.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And then
So
looky there.
is that
Looky
like
there.
the 90 millimeter or 120 millimeter? Or are you running the same length front and rear?
So these are 110, 100 or 110 fronts and 120. No, 110, 120 fronts with 100 rears. The rears are shorter than the fronts.
Oh, okay.
And
So
then
because
here's
with the bounce and Betty, we're running like 90, 120, right? 90 fronts and 120 rears or something like that.
it depends on if you're running the twisted fab springs or you're running the factory springs that Northwest gives you. The Northwest springs are more like RC four wheel drive springs, so they're stiffer. They don't have as much travel or flex to them. So when you run the twisted fab springs, you have to run a longer shock setup.
Gotcha. And you put a twin in there, huh?
Well, it's a VS410, so you're able you're running the twin. Uh, I just swapped out. I had a VFD, but I was like, forget it. I've got the twin. It had all the upgrades, so you can see the metal shafts.
Right.
It's got the metal bearing pieces and the metal hub. So I had a fully decked out one, and I figured since this is going to be a fully decked out truck, I might as well. I actually did Vanquish axles instead of the clone, like a lot of guys have done. I just felt like this was a premium truck, so
Sure.
we'll do all premium parts. And then here's the I don't know if you can see the Kenny's
Yep.
custom crap
The wrap
anti-wrap
bar.
bar.
Yep.
Man, he does such good work. So, and then these are
Did
the
you not?
Power Hobby
Oh,
spring mounts.
you did have to cut the panhard mount, right? On the front?
Yes, so I cut it. This is the way that you can cut it and use the still be able to do a 3 link down the road. Some guys are just chopping that completely off, but then the axle is always a leaf axle. So I was like, well, I'm going to try it this way and see. So, and then we can spin around over here. This is the duster. Let's get the body off so people can kind of see the difference.
So this is the Northwest Scalar design trail duster that he just released. He does everything in a limited run, so these are long gone, sold out. He just does short runs of complete ones. You can buy the bodies from him at various times. You can buy the chassis from him at various times, but to buy him as a chassis body combo, those are usually kind of a limited run deal. And he takes pre-orders and takes them a few months, and then he ships them out.
Yeah. This is actually the first one for me that I ordered new and got to choose, because when you order
Oh,
from
because
him, you get to
you'd
choose
been
the
buying them
color.
from other people privately, used
Hmm.
ones or
Yeah,
pre-owned. Okay, so this was your first new one from or built to order one or whatever.
built to order. Yeah, and I did do. So here's a difference. So you can see I fully removed
Are these
the
the
three
Chinese
link.
axles or are these Vanquish?
I'm gonna call them clone. I don't want. I don't want to call them Chinese,
Why?
but yeah, yes, they're the aftermarket clone. So, and this is
What is?
the
Oh, and
twist.
then tell everybody the price comparison. So what we know that to build a Vanquish axles, they're always right around $600 for all new parts. So what are these clone axles? What does it cost to put a set together roughly?
You buy them complete. I think they're like 150 for the set shipped to your door. The only thing that I
Wow.
do to them differently, yeah. So I
Wow.
take them apart. I replace all the bearings. I use Avid bearings in them, and then I fully grease them because they don't come with very much lubrication in them at all. And then put them in and run them. And if guys go check out my YouTube, this one's on my YouTube running, and it's dead quiet. And this has got the same skid that you're going to be getting, John. It's running. It's got my designed skid to run the VFD or the VFD twin, so you don't have to run the T case
Right.
and forward motor mount.
Right. And those are the new style Prices that have the reservoir on them.
Yes, sir.
Now,
And
do they float around enough that the reservoir can bounce against the chassis, or do they stay in place pretty good?
so when I mounted mine, I gave them just a little bit of room, and they don't hit. They don't. I don't hear
Okay.
them ticking. So,
Because
and I was going to show.
I'd wondered about them actually rubbing up against the rail or something and maybe causing interference or.
Yeah. So this is a 1, 2, 3 block, And this is the kind of the impressive thing about. So that's 3 inches.
Are those metal
Nope.
ones or are those printed blocks?
Those are printed.
Oh, really? Nice.
Yeah. So, and then if you take it, looky there. Oh, wait. Well, it would do it with the body on it. When it's got a little weight on it, it'll do it. But it'll easily articulate 4 inches of flex, no problem. And that's brand new. They only get better with age, kind of like us.
Right, as the springs get broken in, because leaf springs kind of have to get broken in from use and load and all that
Hmm.
good stuff.
And it's fun. You get to sit here and do this all the time.
I'm way too important to have that kind of free time, Rob. Um,
Well, I'm not.
well, it's a lie on my part too. So, anyways, now what is the wheelbase on? So that's a bouncing Betty, but I know he's
Let's.
got different wheelbase chassis. But what is the wheelbase for the Trail Duster? Because that's shorter than your standard. It's not the 12.3 or whatever, right? It's 11 something, or is it just under 12?
It looks like it's right at 11 and a half.
Okay,
Can you
so
see
it's
that?
almost an inch shorter than like your standard crawler chassis wheelbase.
Mm, yeah. Well, here, you want me? Here, we'll get. Let's get one of the short wheelbase over here. Oh. So we have two. So we have my personal custom one-off that I did, which I absolutely adore. But this is a rooster.
So that's another
So
one
this is,
that's made by Northwest Scalar Design, one of their previous releases.
and I was going to give you a side-by-side comparison, so you can see how much shorter the
Oh,
rooster
that's
is.
even shorter yet. So that's down to like 11 inches or something.
I think it's like 10 and a half.
Oh my
If I
gosh.
remember, it's short. It's real short. It
Oh,
is
wow.
exactly 10. Exactly
Wow.
10. And here we'll do the 1, 2, 3 block. So there's 2 inches, no problem. But check this out. Pow!
Uh-huh.
3 inches on that short of a wheelbase. And these I'm running AR-44s.
So you're running axials. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And then, so this is the typical setup: forward motor mount with the drive gear spur, and then you can see it's got a shaft that goes to a T case. Then the T case splits it front to rear. So my VFD does my skid does away with all this and lets you just plug in a VFD, because the way this is set up, you can't run a 2-in-1. They're too big. They're too
Right.
long.
Right.
So, and with, everybody's really likes the 2-in-1 and the fusions, and now with that 1200 kV, oh my god, that thing is so nice and slow and creeps. It's amazing. It really is.
Now your rooster, is this natural patina since you've purchased it, or did it was already starting to rust before you got it?
That's one of the cool options that you get when you are the one ordering from Northwest Scalar, is you can have him do the patina.
Oh, I thought it was natural from just humidity or whatever.
Mm-mm. And this is truck number 7. I don't know if you can see it right there.
You have to put your finger next to the number, and it'll focus on your finger. Hopefully, pull it
Right
back a
there.
little. Pull it back a little bit. Little bit. Little bit. Little bit. There we go.
Number 7. So, and then this is, I made these goofy little, because it was hard to get pricey shocks. So I made these little covers. And then I made a battery tray so
Uh
that you
huh.
could, because these short wheelbase trucks, you are really, really limited on available space. And I didn't want to have special batteries for one truck. So,
So now the only thing I can think about with the short wheelbase is inclines. Do you notice the shortness in the wheelbase on steep inclines?
yes. If it's a long, like you're trying to get up to then get over, it's a little more difficult. But really and truly, this little truck, I, it turns with the short wheelbase. It's got such a great turning radius that it turns around, so you can actually kind of wiggle it in places. And like there, you can kind of go up at an angle to offset that short wheelbase climb. But I am thoroughly impressed with it, how well this little truck does. It's one of my favorite. It's one of my go to. Grab it when I'm gonna go play. I have
Um,
two short.
pull your body back off. Mark is asking
Okay.
about the T case.
Okay.
So now, when it comes off the motor, is it just going to a spur and it's a direct drive? Or is there any gear
Yes.
reduction at the motor? There's no gear reduction except the spur and the pinion.
Yeah. So your
Oh,
pinion to spur is gear reduction,
okay.
and then a lot of your T cases will have overdrive. So there is a reduction. I think there's a small reduction coming into coming out, but you can also have an overdrive like TGH, also known as Team Garage Hack. They have T cases with overdrive, and I want to say you can get it in 0 overdrive, 15 and 20. I think
Sure.
are the two options.
So yeah, Mark.
Don't hold me on that.
So Mark, yeah, basically that's your transmission as your transfer case. It's just not attached up by the motor. So you're running a shaft off of your spur that's has no reduction, no multiplier, and then it's going to your T case, which is basically your transmission to either, do gear reduction, multiplier, whatever. So it's kind of like having a remote transmission in a way, or a detached
Yeah.
transmission, meaning not attached to the motor plate. That's what Mark was wondering.
And I'll tell you that my biggest gripe is this little shaft, because this little shaft is a super pain, because you have to affix it so that it doesn't telescope at all, and because it's, you're not moving this and you're
Right.
not moving this.
Right. Right.
So in order to get this to not telescope, you have to put the heat shrink on it, and you've got to make it so short that you either have to put the motor mount or the spur in. It just gets kind of fiddly to get it all together. That's what pushed the development of that skid for
Sure.
me. I just got tired of fiddling with it.
Sure. Nice.
Yeah. So I'm hooked on the Leaf trucks. I think it's kind of the future. There's always going to be the
Are
guys that
you
are going to
saying
want to
are you
comp
saying
pull.
yesterday's the future?
Yeah. So I think a lot of guys, they want more scale, and I think they're realizing that the Leafs are more scale. It's more true. So it's just kind of a neat segment, and they're harder. They're a lot harder. You don't just point them at something and go crawling over it. You have to actually drive them. So it's definitely interesting. And then that's my little
What do
Econoline,
you
my
mean?
little.
Because of the approach? Because you have the leaf springs hanging in front of, they're kind of out in the wind, you mean? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah. They definitely.
Change your approach?
So yeah, well, in a linked truck, has a lot more travel, so you have a lot more dropout, you have a lot more
Right.
compression
Right.
or up travel. So you can really get it to drop out on super technical big drops that you're trying to crawl across. Whereas a leaf truck, it's going to hang that tire down, but it may not ever actually make it all the way to the ground. Whereas, you know,
Well,
a linked truck would.
well, I mean, and that's subjective. Everybody's driving somewhere different. That's why I get frustrated with this hobby a little bit. It's like, here's the ultimate way to set it up. It's like, yeah, nobody's driving in the same place. Just like trying to say what's the best tire. It's like, these guys out in the Southwest and, California and in the desert and, Utah and those areas, they
Arizona.
have Yeah, they really have some aggressive rock surfaces. And by aggressive, I mean it's grippy, it's textured, it has bite. And then where I'm at, northern Minnesota, we got glacier rock, and that was polished by the ice age. I mean, this stuff is smooth. I mean, it's shiny smooth. It doesn't have grip. It's very polished, and so the lugs don't help you a whole lot. It's more about tire compounds some days, and then the ones that are too soft, they're so soft they collect dust and dirt and sand, and then it's like rock on rock, so it's even slippier. So it's for us, it's kind of a trick to try and tune it with tires because I kind of like the big lugs that are separate out a lot. So hopefully they will grab onto some little imperfection and pull the truck because the the grip on the actual surface itself is not there. You know, it's like that type of tire you're showing right there. It's like, yeah, those are kind of worthless here because you don't have any lugs. They have to have the lugs separated enough to grab edges because
Like
otherwise you don't.
that.
Well, yeah, even leave a little bit more than that. We need some spacing because, like I said, you have to be able to grab an edge. And if the spacing isn't big enough, it just runs over the top like you have no lugs. So it's a little bit tricky. It's tricky here in the sense that it's different than what most people are used to, I guess. Because like usually we run like those,
This is a
because we like run those, like those Mickey Thompson, the Proline Mickey Thompson Baja X's or whatever. It's got those big lugs and they're separated far apart and they're kind of like a mud tire. Now Mark is saying
mhm.
he's got smooth
These
river rock. Yeah, I mean, Mark, that's probably similar to what we have here. Our rock is just really polished. It's from naturally polished.
Yeah, these little RC four-wheel drive IROCs are pretty popular around here because that sandstone that we have in a lot of our places, you know, it's a great, you know, soft, flexible tire.
Right. Yeah, and that's what's wonderful when you got high grip situations. Almost any tire will work. I mean, then it's just trying to find the balance of how fast you want your tires to wear out. You want them to be super grippy every time you go out and then change your tires, or do you want your tires to last longer? It's kind of, you can balance out your tuning of your truck based on your tire hardness.
Okay. Hey, I'm gonna flip the camera back around if you're or do you
Sure.
want to keep looking at my stuff?
No, that's okay. We're done looking at
Okay.
Rob.
Let's see. Done.
Yep. And then Rob's gone again. Can't switch the camera around without killing the connection. And he's back. And he's there. There we go.
There we go.
Yeah, it's dark. Didn't pay your electric bill again.
I know, right?
Oh, I'm no, seriously, dark screen. There we go.
Oh, sorry, I was turning my thingy on so you could hear me better.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, buddy. So what do
I
you
don't have
got?
that professional microphone.
Right. Yeah, we can talk about that too. Show us your origin that you're working on currently, because your origin is kind of in production right now.
I just flipped the camera.
Well,
Ah.
I'm waiting on anodizing for my H10 origin, which I talked about in my latest video, but I am hoping to get a notification from them this week, and hopefully I can start putting my H10 origin together. I don't know. I'll check my email real quick because, man, I am just getting antsy about this.
Okay, let me see if I can do this again. All right. Back. Oh,
Well, still no notifications. But anyways. And Rob's leaving us again. We got ourselves some technical difficulties. Oh, we're just learning here. Add Rob to the right. Maybe. There we go. So Rob
All right.
recently bought a used VS410 Origin off of one of the Facebook groups recently, like within the last, 3-4 weeks?
Yeah, I guess it has been that soon.
Yeah, it's already
Maybe under I know it's definitely under a month, but yeah, you're probably
sure.
right.
So he cut the body off and then he made a cage for it, but it's a metal cage. It's not a 3D printed one.
Yes, sir.
I forgot, did you use tubing or did you use rod?
Tubing.
You did use tubing. Did you use brake tubing or something else?
I did brake tubing because this was my first one, and
Sure.
I was learning. I needed to make it as easy as possible for me.
I forgot, did you
Oh,
braze it or did you weld it?
it's brazed, I guess, is the technical
Oh, that's right.
term.
You used silver solder, right?
Yes.
Okay. That's technically brazing.
So now I did do. So I did a lot of scale stuff. So you can see. Let's see if we get the phone all the way in there to get the camera. Are we
Okay,
getting?
that's dreadful. It's upside down and it's tiny.
Okay. I'm trying.
You
I'm
don't need to get in
trying,
that
guys.
close. You can also use the
Crap. Where
zoom.
did
You can I think you can two finger on your screen and zoom without having to push the phone closer. I think.
I don't, I don't know. This thing isn't wanting to. How's that? Did that zoom in?
Oh, that's good enough. I mean, we all know what a Origin interior looks like for the most part. But so you printed the
Well, I was just
center. You printed the center console, fuel
so
tank.
the fuel tank, the headrests, the center console, the shifter is from a VFD twin, but then I did the CB radio, the grab bar, door panels, the dash.
Is that a nudie magazine or is that a comic book?
It's a trail map.
Oh, that's boring.
Well, I was trying to keep it G rated.
Where's your Homer Simpson donut? I thought you put that in a lot of your rigs.
My grandbaby stole the rest of them. She likes them.
Oh,
So,
yeah. You should have your Homer Simpson. That should be your little signature, your Homer Simpson donut on the dash of all your trucks.
did I show you my tire rack I made?
Yeah. At one point, yes.
Okay.
Did
Oh,
you put any
license plate.
Did you put any reinforcements on the back, or you like tending to hang a tire off of it?
I don't plan to hang a tire off the back of it. I just wanted something back there to
Sure.
take up some of the orange. It had
Yes.
a lot of orange.
Yes. I'd still like to be able to. I'd still like to be able to put a light in the license plate bracket, and have it actually
Yeah,
illuminate the license
wow.
plate. That'd be kind of cool. I mean, yeah, I know it'd be tiny, but I mean, that'd be really
Yeah,
tiny.
the wiring that would golly, yeah, that would be That's something I may have to think about. I may have to try that. That's a good idea though. So, well, here's so I did. This is the servo it actually came with, so I left it in there. I did a forward battery mount, and since I use a little 3S, that kind of takes care of that. And then this is a carbon fiber motor mount that gives you a forward motor position, so you can run a Fusion 2-in-1. And then I got a really nice. I built up a 3 gear. Ironically, this Origin did not have a 3 gear in it. So, and I've got the sliders and the little mounts, and then I don't know if you can. Well, you can't really hear it. Let's see if I can find something metal.
Well, no, that brace only came in aluminum. There is no plastic ones of those.
Yeah, and then I also have the front
Steering
brace.
mount, yep, or the
And
servo mount
then
one.
let's see what else. What else makes it an Origin? Oh, the little aluminum there, and then we talked about the
Inner
inner
fenders.
fender.
Yep.
So, yeah, this was kind of a. I wanted to make this Origin a runner. It as you can see, it's got some scars. So I wanted one that I could actually run, and it didn't have to just be a shelf queen. So I wanted to do the 2-in-1. So I found this motor mount on one of the Vanquish groups, and the guy had it attached to a transmission. So I asked him if he'd sell it to me, and he said sure. I was like, sweet. So
Where are you mounting your
oh,
battery? Where you?
I was talking about that a second ago. Yeah,
Oh,
since I
yeah,
use
yeah,
a
yeah.
little three, I made this is 3D printed. I do a
Yep.
lot of 3D print. There's the bamboo. Um, this is a little battery tray thing that I came up with, and it was a free file that I just manipulated to make it fit my size. So, no Origin bumpers. My front bumper, remember, was kind of
Right.
mangled, so I got rid of it. I do still have the rear, but
I forgot the
this one's got two.
manufacturer's name of those bumpers you have on there. It begins with a W, like Wordies, or I forgot the name of it. I keep trying to remember those bumpers.
Now, were they Origin specific, or were they just VS410?
I think they were just considered VS410, but at the time when they came out, there was only an Origins. You know what I mean? They
Mm-hmm.
called them Origin bumpers because they came out with the Origin. You know, they were sometime because there was a lot of complaints with the Origin bumpers just plowing into edges and basically restricting the abilities of the truck because of how big they were and chunky and stuck out kind of far and all that kind of stuff. So there was a demand kind of for aftermarket right away, you know.
Yeah. And I don't know if you've ever noticed this, but the Origin is limited on tire size, not
Oh yeah.
because of the suspension,
Oh
but
yeah.
because of the little divots that they put in the fender wells for the battery. So these
Well,
rock
no,
these actually
the edge of
rub.
your slider. Your edge of your slider too.
Oh wow, yeah, they sure do. Huh? Yeah, I heard it yesterday. You go, brrr, the
Y-
telltale rubbing sound.
Yeah.
So
So are those 4.7s or are those taller?
475. They're
They are 4.75s. Okay.
yeah, Pitbull Rock Beasts. I love this tire. This is I don't know about up there, but I know down here this is a great tire.
Uh-huh. I use Trepidors a lot, but they're pretty tall. I think they're like 4.9 or something like that.
There's the wheels. I tried to keep it. I was gonna put. Okay, this is a good question for everybody. I really wanted to put a set of orange spec wheels. Is that sacrilegious?
Wordy Made. There, Gray Matter said Wordy Made. That's the manufacturer of the bumpers. That's what I was trying to remember. I have some and they were better for performance. I have the original on now though, since mine is more of a shelf queen at this point. Yeah, I've got two sets of Wordy Maids also. I got a brand new set and then I got a set that's on a runner, but uh oh, you're asking about running spec RC wheels on your Origin? Of course you run other wheels on there.
Well, I put Vanquish. I have these that were coated by Rusty. I think I was told they were coated by Rusty Custom Coatings, and of course the scale hubs front and rear.
Those the
But I
SSD
have
ones?
huh?
Those are the SSD hubs?
No. The I don't know who made those.
Yeah,
I
those are
just found them in
SSDs.
my
Yeah.
really okay. Well, they're cool. They look great.
Yeah. I love them too. They got the lockout in them. Got and they got different colors for the centers. I think they also got yellow and maybe blue, but of course red is like everything we've ever seen in our life, so it's like that's the one that makes sense. Yeah, way too close. Your camera can't focus that close. There you go. I mean, you just had to do is step out a little bit, but yeah. Are you running the incisions still on there? The shocks, the 90s?
Oh yeah, because you said that's Origin. So I even kept the Incision drive shafts. Let's see if I can find those. Find
Yeah.
the link. There they
Yeah.
are.
I haven't seen any ones that look. I haven't seen any other ones that look like that. So.
And I'll tell you guys, I was really, for anybody that's thinking about doing some of the 3D print stuff, man, that Night Customs, those files, they are gems straight out of the box. I love this little mount they made
Sure.
so you can chop the top.
Is that
And
the
I didn't
magnet?
do
Is that the magnetic mount?
no, it uses a pin. It just comes through and
Gotcha.
you use a short body post.
Yeah, because they must not be knights then, because there's somebody that was making magnetic mounts, and the front one goes. Leave your camera focused on the hood for a second. Um, the front one goes over the top of the flat area, and it goes down through the pinholes, and it basically just looks like you're making like the top of a hood scoop or whatever, and it's perfectly matched to the outside. And it goes through, and then another plate mates up to the back of it, and you put a magnets on there, and then you put a magnet base through the pins, and you just drop the thing down and it lines up. And they do the same for the rear, where they make a bed insert. And I don't remember which guy it was printing those, but it wasn't night stuff, but it can make it completely a magnet mount with no body pins showing.
I wonder how that holds up in the crawling actual use. Does it do pretty good? I mean, the body's light.
I think it had alignment pins too, so I don't think it was strictly being held on by the magnets. I think the magnets were doing more of the work to work against gravity, pulling it apart.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the side to side and the end to end play was taken up with some pin or some locator of some sort. I have a set around here somewhere. I have to look at them again.
Well, I was trying to keep this origin as much original to what it came with. Not
Yeah, like
change a bunch of.
right, like chopping the roof off. Yep.
Well, I actually okay. The collector in me still has the roof. If that says anything.
Oh, I wish you would have took that body from me where somebody already tried cutting the windows out and used that one. You could have get. Oh, well, that's right. This was a used body.
Yeah, it's a used body.
Yeah, I still have that body I got from you with that first Origin I bought from you. It's like in the wing window, somebody tried to chew it out like a rat. The little vent
Yeah.
window is just garbage. I'm sure I can, and that's the one I was going to think about doing for a convertible for mine.
Well, here we go.
For one of mine.
It didn't work. Okay, so it's got to go a little lower. Okay. Oh, looky there. 4 inches. 4 inches of flex.
See, links work too.
I know, but you have to admit, Leafs are kind of cooler because it's such old technology.
Yeah, and the newness hasn't worn off with you yet either. So
This is true. So, hey. Oh, look. I even have the manual. And I printed orange stands for the Origin, since the Origin is orange. That's what you need.
No, I don't need any more buggy stuff. I'm a little turned off with.
Cool.
Well, yeah, it's cool. I'm just kind of burned out on buggies.
All right, I'm gonna flip cameras.
You do that. And he's gone again. We are definitely tech savvy. And he's back. There he
Ta-da.
is.
I'm back.
Oh, Lordy. You're like a bad
Did
penny.
I mess this up again?
You're like a bad penny. We can't get rid of you.
See a penny, pick it up all day long.
You'll have Rob's luck. Yeah.
Well, I don't know that anybody wants to
Gotta use the sound effects.
I like them.
Oh, Lordy.
And I did take notes. I had questions as you
Good.
were talking.
I
I was coming
appreciate
up with.
that. It helps cover up some of our problems. Gives us a little more smoothness.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
hey, you know what? We're just two guys. What? How many miles? Did we ever look up the mileage
Oh,
difference
God. I think
between
it
us?
was 1,200 miles, wasn't it?
Yeah, we're just two guys having fun, 1,200 miles apart.
Yeah. See, if you had moved somewhere farther away, it'd be more impressive.
I'm not moving to South Texas. They get hurricanes.
No, I mean, you could hang out with Alan in Australia. I mean,
Oh, I would love to go to Australia.
oh, yeah, me
Oh,
too. That's kind of a bucket list thing. Yeah. I
totally.
I really want to see Australia. Let's see.
That is definitely a bucket list thing for me too. I want to go somewhere
Directions.
where I want to go somewhere where I can say "crikey" and I fit in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And the first thing they'd say is, "You sound like an American."
Exactly. Oh,
Uh, Mileage. Come on, Google.
don't make me do it. Are you gonna make me do
Oh,
it?
900 miles.
Oh, well,
14 hours
that's
and
not.
4 minutes of driving.
Jeez. Well, my trips to Glamis were were more miles, so I did that. Ugh.
I I did Oklahoma City and back in 20 hours, so roughly 10 hours I can get to Oklahoma City. 10, 11
So
hours.
okay, so you're in Oklahoma City is just under 3 hours from me.
Oh, so this is pretty accurate then. They're saying 14 hours. Yeah.
Probably another gas stop, yeah, probably.
Yeah. Pile in the Corvette and go.
Oh, well, then you should make it in record time.
Oh, I guess my radar detector does actually work pretty good in that thing, but I'm not as daring as I used to be because I like my insurance affordable.
Yeah, that's definitely a sign of age is when we care about our insurance and driving
Scott,
record and all that stuff.
Scott is your buddy Scott is saying Rob needs to live stream when the producer is home.
Who's the
I
who's
guess
the
he means
producer? Scott?
Tammy. I would assume Tammy.
Man, thanks, Scott. So much for your shout out today. Oh wait, I guess he kind of in a roundabout way got his shout out, didn't he? Because we're
Uh
here
huh.
talking about.
He he got noticed. He pushed the button.
Yep. We just
Oh
got to
Lord.
figure out how to get multiple cameras on my end too.
Quit spending money on Vanquish. You could afford cameras.
Yeah, I bought an Origin.
Oh Lordy. Sure. Only thing you can see in the background of mine is monster trucks. Yeah.
Yeah, and I got mine. You get helicopters.
Yeah. I mean, you don't have
No,
Airwolf anymore, so you're not cool.
no, I'm not. Man, Airwolf was awesome. It was scary to fly, though. It was scary to fly.
What scale was it?
I think was considered fifth scale.
Oh, it was good.
RC
Big.
Yeah, RC helicopters they go by size ratings, which is based on the blade size, and it was an 800, so it used 800 millimeter blades. So like this one right here, the red, white, and blue, that's a 700. If it gives you any ideas.
Right.
So
So it was the next
Airwolf
si-
weight
so it was the next
what?
size up from that one. That's a Bell Ranger, a Jet Ranger.
Yeah, yeah, Jet Ranger 407 or yeah 407.
Okay.
So it if it tells you anything, Airwolf full flight weight, meaning the weight that I set it down on the runway to take
Right.
off was
Right.
29 pounds.
Jesus. And that was nitro, or was that electric?
It was electric, 12S.
How big a? I'm guessing at least a third of the weight was the battery.
Actually, okay, so we're gonna get into this. Okay, so the ballast weight that I had to add to the helicopter to
Above and
get this,
beyond. Right.
yeah, to get the CG correct so that it would
Right.
fly, not counting. So you put the batteries in, and then you got to add weight to balance it out. So the CG ballast weight was just over a pound, whereas this helicopter right here took 0.
Right.
That helicopter right there, 0. It was all about battery placement. But Airwolf was so big and so heavy that it took a full pound of lead ballast just to get the helicopter to balance, and it still wasn't there.
So those of you who are not familiar with flying, airplanes, helicopters, all that stuff, because they're not on the ground, they're, in the air, they're only supported by the thrust it produces. In order for them to fly predictably and not dangerously and less likely to crash, they have to have a real equal balance, front to rear, left to right, all that kind of stuff, because you're operating on all axes. And so if you're nose heavy, tail heavy, whatever, you want to be able to kind of let go of the controls a little bit and just, it should kind of fly basically, at least with a fixed wing. And if it's any heavy in any direction, it's more prone to crash, so it's more difficult to fly because you're always trying to correct its imbalance. So there's a lot of setup involved with stuff that flies because it's not very forgiving if it's not set up right.
And
That kind of
yeah, and not only that, but you have to really trust that you're doing it right because there is no testing.
I well,
You know,
yeah,
once the test is when you leave the ground. I mean, honest to God, when
I
you take off for the first time with an airplane and you go to check CG, you do a 45-degree angle climb, you roll it over upside down, so it's flying inverted at a 45-degree angle, and then you see, does it try to pull or push?
right,
And that's how you know where your CG is. So there's
right,
no, I mean, you can test it on the ground with CG measurements, but until you physically fly it, you don't know.
right. You get it close and then you try it. Right.
Yeah.
I've
Yeah.
I've I've flown with people that do like bush pilot type stuff, like in an otter, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and it's funny watching these pilots. I mean, it's not funny. It's interesting because they know their plane and they kind of size you up. And they sometimes they have a scale, sometimes they don't, but they just kind of eye everything up. And it's like, that's got to go here, that's got to go there. How much baggage do you have? And they just kind of do the math in their head. And it's like, okay, here's how we're going to do it. And you as the passenger, if you don't understand flying at all, you don't really know what he's doing, but he's trying to figure out the CG as best he can based on how much fuel he has left and all that kind of stuff because he wants the thing to fly safely for your benefit and his. And yeah, there's a lot involved with flying. It's not
Yeah.
it's I
I
mean,
mean,
yeah,
not,
I mean a lot of people can grab the stick and hold it steady and fly it, but to understand all of it, yeah, there's a reason why there's a lot of training involved.
yeah. I mean, not to dive off down the rabbit hole, but I have a friend that he's got a Cub on floats, and he knows exactly how much fuel he can fill it and still get off the water,
Right, because of the weight of the floats and then the weight of the fuel and then
and the
Cubs only
sticky.
and then Cubs only have like a cruising speed of like 85 miles an hour without the floats. So it's
When
probably
people
like
don't realize water is sticky.
yeah, yeah, you got to right. You got to yeah. I mean, it's my
So
I got a buddy that has a Cub too, but he doesn't have floats on it. And he talked about, yeah, if you got a big enough headwind, you'll see the cars below you going faster. Because usually you don't fly a Cub very high anyways. You're usually kind of following roads. Because the Cub is it's kind of like flying a shoebox. I mean, it's about that strong and it's about that heavy and then it's got a
it does
motor.
everything like a shoebox does.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
It's
you throw a shoebox hard enough, it'll fly. Yeah.
Well, I mean, if you look in the background, you'll see some of my 3D planes, and the guys at the flying field, they're like, "Oh, I can't believe you fly that kind of stuff and you won't fly the Cubs." Is no, the Cubs scare me because you don't have enough power, enough oomph to get out of it.
Well, right.
I like
It's right.
power.
It's for people that want to do prototypical style flying. They want to do or scale flying. They want to make it look like it's a real one flying or whatever. You know, that's my buddy that owns a Cub. That was I met him before he owned any aircraft, his own personal aircraft, and he was just always enamored with Cubs until he found one he could afford and restored it. So, and
I loved Cubs, and I bought two RC ones to fly, and both of them I flew, I crashed, I repaired, and I sold.
really,
Yeah, they have a horrible tendency for tip stalling. They really do. You have to power them through a turn, and it's
sure.
just it's it's a weird feeling for something slow for you to have to add power in a turn to get it to do what you want it to
Right,
do and
because
not
it's not
fall out of the sky.
right. I get that because most of the stuff we deal with in RC is really a high performance version, whereas that one is more prototypical in scale, if provided you put an engine that's also smaller too. But yeah, that was the only time I ever flew RCs, and he let me fly his, I think it was a P-51 Mustang, and it wasn't a very big one, you know. And I started flying it, and he could tell I was getting braver and braver with it. And he goes, "Okay, hand it back." And it's kind of like, "No, we're not going to let you crash it. You're starting to get confident, and then you're not going to know how to recover, and then you're going to crash my airplane. Okay, now you should build one." That's kind of what it landed into. And yeah,
And
I still have a partially built airplane in my basement that's been sitting there for since the early 90s. So yeah, it's 30 years old. There's a fuselage down there.
and welcome to RC plane talk 101.
Oh, and it's one of my favorite aircraft, which is a Sky Raider, Vietnam era, the attack aircraft that carried bombs and stuff was like one of the last attack aircraft prop planes in the US arsenal there.
Yeah.
What is a turbo timber? Do you know what that is, obviously, Rob?
Yeah, so a turbo timber is a great high wing, high performance stall aircraft, and stall stands for short takeoff landing. They normally have big flaps. They have a shorter. They have the same wing design as a Cub. It's just they don't have as much wing length. So they have what's called a wider core. So the width of the wing is a little wider and the wingspan is a little shorter. Makes them a lot more sporty. And
So
they take off and land.
similar surface area, just
Yeah, and very similar in appearance. It's
oh,
very
okay.
easy to confuse a Cub and a turbo timber. Like just the average guy looking at them was like, oh, it's a high wing
So
airplane. It's
was
a
the
Cub.
turbo timber a production aircraft or were they modified Cubs?
No, it is a production aircraft. I think they fall into they may fall into the experimentals, but don't quote me on that. They are you can
Are they
buy.
a kit plane or you buy them finished?
No, in the RC world, yes,
No,
they
no, no,
are.
no. I
You
mean,
buy
I'm talking real life, everything and yeah. Anyways, I was just talking about the real
both,
world. Okay.
both.
Gotcha. Well, we got Cirrus
The
or what's the Cirrus
yeah,
we have here in Minnesota? Yeah.
they are amazing. Oh my gosh, they are just amazing. I live right by a private airstrip called Aero Country. And in fact, if you guys saw the news and the airplane crash a couple of years ago, that happened right here by my house. Um, but yeah, we have a few guys that have the Cirrus planes, and oh man, they are so awesome. It's like getting in a Tesla. They're that all the
Right. And they're
just
revolutionary because they're a lot of composite, right?
a lot of composite. They also
Right.
have they have the parachute system.
Right.
So
That's an option. That's not even standard, I think. You pay extra for that if you want it.
Yeah, but it's I mean, and you talk about a very sleek, very comfortable. They're small. They're a very small airplane. But when you get in them, you don't feel like you're crunched in them, and they're fast. They really are nice airplanes.
So more performance oriented, like a Mooney kind of. You know, I mean,
Yeah,
Mooney's much older, of course, but that's how it fits into the general aviation area. I was so surprised when that company started up because it's like there's a demand in general aviation for new aircraft because it feels like such an expensive hobby nowadays to own an airplane. Holy smokes! But
yeah. It's not the expense anymore. Isn't buying the airplane. It's maintaining it and
oh yeah,
storing it.
the legalities, yeah, and that's my background. Went to school to be a aircraft mechanic and never really worked in the trade, but had all the training and all that kind of stuff. And the industry went upside down, and it's like maybe this isn't a good industry to be in. And then I just never followed through with it. But so I always had an interest in aviation, and of course a bunch of training in it. But I don't know. Yeah, it's an expensive hobby, flying. Holy smokes!
Yeah. You know, a lot of the guys over at Aero Country, they have their own fuel stations because it's cheaper to buy 500 or 1,000 gallons of avgas
Right.
versus go to the airport and
Oh
never
yeah,
know
yeah,
what the
yeah.
price.
Yeah, I mean that was always the thing here too. We would go to the airport to buy high octane fuel, you know, for our cars and motorcycles and stuff like that. But man, the price at the pump there, and they'd only sell it to you in a can because if they wouldn't let you pump it into a vehicle. It's like, nope, this is aviation. It's for aviation, but they would allow you to fill 5 gallon cans because then they can't really say that they're not, you know, it's liability for their part, so they're not getting nicked by the state or something, you know. But so yeah,
Well, a fun
we'd buy 100 octane low lead and stuff like that.
so ironically, being in the off-road stuff is a lot like the dirt track stuff, and a lot of guys around here race dirt track, and you can actually go. There's a gas station. I think they still do. I haven't been up there in a couple of years, but you used to be able to walk up, put your credit card in, and get um, $100, however many gallons that worked out to be. The limit was $100 of race gas at the pump, and they didn't care what you put it in. You could just walk up there and pump it
Sure.
into your car, pump it into a can. But yeah, you could buy 100 octane race gas, no lead, no ethanol,
Right.
ethanol
Non-oxy.
free.
Right.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah, we have a few stations. Our state isn't really friendly to non-oxy fuel, but we can find it at a few places. And there's even a few stations that do have race gas at the pump, at a standard gas station. It's not like a specialty store or nothing like that. But the race gas at the pump, holy smokes, is that expensive? They try to nick you for $6, $7, $8 a gallon, you know. And it's
Oh,
yeah, they
that's
really
cheap.
well. And I'm thinking years ago, so that might have been when gas was under $2 too. But yeah, I remember it was like three, four, five, six times more than regular. But
It's so funny. The race pump on one side of the handle, the one handle was race gas. On the other side of the pump was red off-road diesel. So the same
right,
pump handles.
right,
It's
right, right,
like,
right.
oh,
Yeah,
how do you know?
right, right. Yeah, I mean, we don't have very many Sunoco stations, but the Sunoco stations we do, they all have high octane race fuel at them. So that's one
Yeah,
place you can go to for sure. But yeah, that's well,
yeah,
like you're saying, off road diesel, man, that's hard to find at the pump here. And the places that we have that sell it, they charge just as much as the on road diesel at a regular station that has fair pricing. So all our stations that carry off road diesel, it's you're not getting a break because they've
yeah.
already
There's
there.
no limit.
Yeah, it's already a station that charges more than everybody else, unfortunately. So I had thought about that at the farm, getting an above ground tank, getting like a 500 or 1,000 gallon tank, and buy home heating oil because then you can run that and equipment and stuff like that, and it's a lot less expensive, you know.
Yeah. So have you bought anything new RC
I
related? Have you ordered anything
mean
in the
besides
last
I
since
mean
the last time
besides
we
spec
talked?
RC wheels?
Oh God.
My Spec RC wheel addiction. Oh my gosh. Let's see. This
I'm,
is
I'm
my
waiting for the day that I see the display board and you have like
no,
400
no.
sets.
I sell them before I get to that point. So there's a set I just picked up, bronze on bronze. And those are 2 2s, which oh my gosh,
Man, you get a lot of these twos lately.
I got a weakness for bronze right now. When I see bronze, it's like, oh, that's a hot set.
Do
And
you
there's
run two on anything?
buggies.
Okay.
Buggies I'll run 2 2. Usually anything with fenders, tent scale is they're too tall. I mean, if I did, I haven't. One thing I haven't done yet that I need to try is stretching the 1/9s over 2 2 wheels, because I hear enough people do it that I'm sure it works. But see this?
What's the benefit?
What's that?
What's the benefit to a 1/9 tire on a 2/2 wheel?
You don't have so much height, because your tallest 1/9s are still around under 5 inches. Your shortest 2 2s are well over 5 inches. You know, so
I
it's just to have the big wheel look without the problems of having really tall tires on a 10 scale, and
oh, okay.
you can't get them to fit underneath the rig. So that's why the only ones I really run them on is buggies, because they don't have a body that overhangs the wheels and tires. So
I
yeah.
I see a lot of guys doing that. They put 1/9 tires on 2/2 wheels, and I didn't know. I thought you'd be giving up sidewall, giving up a little bit of squish and flex.
And I've seen
So
people do it on rigs that they're actually driving too. So I know it's not just people doing it for the appearance of the big wheel. So, like I said, I just haven't bitten the bullet and tried it yet.
God, those are sexy wheels, John.
Yeah. Like I said, I really like the bronze now. I'm really falling in love with bronze. Now I just wish I had an anodizer that could do bronze, because my
Or
anodizer.
close to it.
Yeah, I'll have to find another anodizer to deal with it. I was gonna show you. Oh, where did it go? Where did it go? Oh, here we go. Switch back. Da. So there. I'll let the delay catch up so you can see that.
Okay, Mark just said that I don't even know how to pronounce
Yeah,
Muse. Is it
moose. I don't either,
Muse?
but
Me
yeah, whatever.
makes a
Moose.
475 in a 2/2 wheel. That's kind of interesting.
Huh.
I have to look that one up.
Yeah, me too. Because it'd be nice to find a short tire that fits on 2 2s. So that is the new Vanquish wheel that comes with the H10 Origin. That is modeled after the Battleborn. I believe they call it the X-Ray, I think it's called. And this is only available with the H10 Origin at this time from Vanquish.
That's a good looking wheel.
Yeah, it is. It's and of course there's my Spec RC slot. So as you can see, they're kind of modeled after like slots, or you call them jelly beans or whatever.
Beans.
Yeah. And so for those of you wondering, on the silver
I'm
one,
I'm
that's a raw finish.
I'm actually
That's
looking at Muse right now, trying to see if I can find
their
those tires
tires.
he's talking about. Yeah.
Sure.
Holy
I've
crap, they do.
I've always heard them
Wow.
pronounced moose or muse, or I don't know.
They're 4.72 inches tall, and they have a very, very similar to the Rock Beast. That is a good looking. That's a good looking tire.
I'm the one who should be looking it up so I can put it on the screen. Let's see. MEUS
Yeah, it's under their 10th scale wheels and tires, and it's like it pops right up. You'll see it says 4.72.
RC rubber tires. Let's see. Now we got a.
And I can tell you from buying their tires for the minis, they're sticky. They're
So
sticky, sticky.
it should pull up on the screen in a second for you, Rob. Are these the ones we're talking about? It says wheels for SCX10, SCX10 2, TRX4, D90, Moose Racing 472-inch RC rubber tires, 2.2
Yep.
inch wheels.
Now
Uh,
is that a tread pattern that you guys would run up there?
it's. I wish it was obvious enough that you could just look at a tire and know that it works. You just have to buy a set and try them. We're never that
I didn't
lucky.
know if the softer compound.
I don't know. I would buy a set to try them. I'm trying to figure out if that's because they're showing 4 in the picture and they're saying $50. Are they really $50 for 4 of them? Because that's kind of
I don't know.
reasonable.
Well, I mean, a lot of their stuff is very reasonably priced. I've always bought them like when I was buying TRX4M or SCX24 stuff, they were always cheaper than like J Concepts. So
Sure. Yeah, 4 tires and 4 inserts.
I
Uh,
don't know about the foam though. That's going to be an interesting thing. What are you going to do for foams?
I don't
Because
know because the foams won't have the right center. So if you put a 1.9 foam on there, it'll stretch the center out so much. And the 2.2s
may
are super tall.
yeah, it may change the density feeling of the
You
foam.
could take the Proline 2-stage 2.2 and you could take the outer ring off and then maybe use this outer ring because it's designed to be a shorter tire. You know what I mean? Because that's usually what these foams that come with these tires, they have just a
I don't
foam
think
that.
they are dual. I don't think they're going to be a dual stage foam in there. I bet they're just a solid
No. But the
single
Proline
stage.
dual stage ones, the outer foam is just there. It's not really glued or bonded usually at times, so you can just pull it right off. So I was just wondering if you could use the foam that comes with it and then use the dense 2-stage part that goes over the wheel from Proline, and kind of do a hybrid. They only
Well,
got.
have you tried the 3D printed foams?
Yes, I get them from Squid RC, or what's he called?
Yeah.
Squid
So I
inserts.
wonder if you could reach out to him and say, "Hey, I need a 2-2 foam that's only 4.7 inches tall."
Yeah, he's a little he's a little difficult to get stuff made sometimes. I don't know. I haven't bought
Okay.
anything from him currently. But not to get into that too deep. Mark said he has tried them. He says they are pretty soft. Yes, it is 4 tires for $50. And Nicholas also said yes, $50. Oh, maybe I'll try a set just to try them and then can do a little review on them. Estimated delivery April 14th through the 18th. So they're saying 7 to 10 days kind of deal, 6 to 10 days. Nick says
Okay. He's saying
look at the picture. It says
4.9.
yeah, he says it says 4.9.
Let me go look. Sure does. It says 4.92, but in the description it says 4. Ooh, wow. That's a tall tire.
Well, that's what the
That'd be a good
Trepadors
buggy.
are. The Trepadors are 4.9s. I've been running those.
But like you said, you could put them on a buggy, like on your Optic or on Speedy.
Right.
You haven't even talked to me about my Optic build yet.
I I usually don't have to ask you anything. You just tell me.
Oh well.
How is your optic build going, Rob?
It's still in the box.
Oh, so you haven't done anything. That's where my
Well, I
that
can't.
that's where my Twisted Fabco package from you is. It's still in the package. I haven't even touched it.
Oh god, I can't decide what to do. I don't want to do just an optic. I Okay. So
Just an
back up.
optic. What you should do is put a 959 body on it.
I have a spare. Um,
Except those are 12
no,
scale.
semantics. So I found a chassis, body panels. It's a kit that somebody stole the parts out of it that they needed, and so they sent me the chassis, the body panels, the stickers, the instructions, the axle housings. I have a couple transmissions, so I was gonna build one, but I was gonna do it with F9s. I got some aluminum used F9s. I've got
I got some brand new F9s. You want black ones?
but I got
I
an
just
art.
gutted them.
Well, so I don't know if you've seen it, but Artful Dodger makes a servo mount for the F9s that puts the steering servo behind the axle.
Oh, okay.
So it kind of looks a lot like the optic axle, but you get the big beefy looking
Right.
F9.
Right.
So, so, so I was going to use I got clear F9s, Artful Dodger servo mount, a VFD. I'm not going to use a twin, the chassis, but I was thinking that I would 3D print either the Terrabug or the Bronco or the Jeep or some kind of body set for it. I have the printer, but everybody's doing the Terrabug, and I don't like to do what everybody else is doing. So I'm having a hard time trying to decide which file to get.
959 Porsche.
Hmm.
Yep. And do the
Well,
livery. Do
doesn't
the
somebody
Rothman's livery.
somebody already do a Porsche 911 as a crawler?
Well, Josh and Matt did something like that where they built basically a custom everything, and they built carbon fiber panels and a cage, and yeah, it was pretty. You have to go back and watch their videos on their live stream. They did the build and followed it along. It was, I forgot which event it was leading up to, but it was kind of the deadline. They had a deadline on it to, to showcase these things at the event and that kind of stuff. But yeah, it was very much a one-off type thing. It was a convertible 911 that had a cage that kind of mirrored the roof line, so it still kept the silhouette look of the 911. And they printed an engine for the rear. And I don't remember if they did the whale wing. I don't remember, but
No, I think it was just the smooth back. I don't think it had the duck bill, the what do they call it, the duck butt or the whale wing either. I don't think it
right.
had.
Yeah, and I think I don't know if both of them did, but I think Matt may have had a cutout so you could see the engine, or
Oh, that'd be kind of.
yeah, or it had, because a lot of those trunks or whatever, bonnets, whatever you want to call them, had grill work in them for venting or whatever, and I think he pulled the centers out, and so you could see the engine through the lid or something like that, so you could show off, because it's like, well, yeah, we printed a beautiful motor scale engine for it, and then it's hidden by the body, so I think they were trying to figure out a way to show it off without hiding it all the time.
Well, and I like doing that now that I have the 3D printer. I like seeing what all can I add, to spice it up.
Right.
So it's kind of neat.
Why not do
But
oh, I know what you could do. Do a Eastern Bloc country like Russia or something like that. One of their bizarre little cars, and 3D print the body and make a really unique body. Because Russians make this little thing. It's kind of like I mean, you could say it kind of looks like a first generation Bronco. It's just a short little, except it's more of a car than a truck. And it's an all-wheel drive thing. It's just an ugly face only a mother could love thing. And it kind of has a little bit of the lines of a Yugo, but it looks a little bit more like a truck, and it's a Russian built thing. That would look. I like seeing really oddball, weird shit. That's me though, but it's probably too short of a wheelbase for the optic because even the optic is longer than the standard length of the VS410s, and your typical crawler is like 12.3 or 12 and a half, and I think the optics is at 13 inches. But
what about a Citron? Do a Citron.
oh god, what's that called? The D5 or what's it called? What is that
They're
ugly
so
thing called?
ugly.
What is it called though? What's
But
the
they're cool. They're so
what?
ugly.
I
They're
don't know,
cool.
but what's the model called? DD. Isn't it
Oh,
called DD5 or DD? I don't remember.
I don't know. I'm actually was looking for it because I couldn't think of the who made it. I actually typed in French car and it popped right up. Citron.
Are
Oh
you talking
crap.
about the big sedan, or are you talking about the one that looks like a Beetle?
It kind of looks Beetle-esque. I'll give it that.
Oh, okay. Well,
All French car. Oh well, crap. That just led me
I
down
think
a
you pronounce it
rabbit hole.
Citron, or what? Citroen,
Oh
or what?
wow, it is spelled way different than I spelled it. It's Citron.
TR. Yep. Yep. Citron. Citron.
The 2CV.
Yeah. I was thinking of their big sedan, which is even uglier.
The DS19. Oh, that is ugly.
The one
Wow, that's ugly.
with the wheel skirts, and oh yeah, and it's a 4-door.
Oh god.
It's
Oh
kind of like
god, that is hideous.
it's kind of like a 4-door French 911.
God, that's
But
it's
wouldn't
got
that
a
be?
little bit of Jaguar, a little bit of Volkswagen, a little bit of what? Wow.
Oh, my old joke was, you know what's worse than British cars? French cars.
Well, I had a guy come over and you know that I have a classic Mini Cooper,
Right.
an awesome, and he goes, you know what to do when that car stops leaking oil, right? And I was like, what's that? He goes,
Add more
put
oil.
oil.
Yep.
I was like, yeah, it's never gonna stop leaking.
I've got a lot of Cummins, so that's kind of a joke with Cummins engines too, because they're always sweating horsepower. Oh lordy.
I had an '03 Cummins, and I paid to have the valve cover gaskets replaced because they were leaking, and I could smell it. And you'd only smell it after 3 or 4 hours driving. So when I drive up to the dunes, 3/4 of the way, I'd start smelling a little burnt oil. And the guy's like, "Okay, I'll replace them, but I'm
That's
not
the
giving you a warranty."
that's probably the
And that was
crankcase. It's
why.
probably the crankcase breather is what you're smelling, because it's just a big 3/4 inch hose that comes out the side of the engine block. And it
No,
just
mine was the
and it
valve
points and
covers.
it
It was
just
the
it
back valve.
was okay.
Yeah.
Because the crankcase breather for those is, like I said, it's like a 3/4 inch, 1 inch hose. It comes out the side of the engine and it just goes straight down. It just vents to the open air. And so when you get blow by and stuff, it'll blow on the oil pan and blow underneath of the truck. And some people will put like the soda bottles, the plastic soda bottles, and then zip tie them to the
Oh,
end
as
of
a
the
catch
hose.
can,
Yeah.
like a
Make a
catch, like a
Yeah,
catch
but you
can.
got
That's
you got to poke a hole in it so it breathes. Otherwise, it just turns into a pressure vessel and it blows off the end. So it's got to vent to the outside air, of course. But anyways,
yeah. No, mine started leaking about 6 months later, and I went back over to him and I said, "Let me guess. The reason that you don't give a warranty is because you knew it was going to fail." And he goes, "Yeah, I knew it was going to fail, but I wasn't going to turn away the work." I was like, "Okay."
well, have you ever seen how you check the blow by on a Cummins? The
I've
kind
only
of
known you take the oil fill cap off.
yes. Well, no, you take it off and you loosen it, and if there's enough blow by to float the cap, meaning there's that much air pressure, the cap starts to float after it's unthreaded. That's a lot of blow by.
That's too much.
Yeah.
Okay. My son-in-law had one that it looked like Old Faithful when it would go off. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, you got to imagine. I mean, because Cummins are turboed, and I think mine is running. Oh my gosh, close to 30 pounds of boost. And you think of how much boost you run in a car. Usually, a car you're running like 2 to 5 psi. So if
Oh
you
yeah.
So if you got 20 pounds of boost and you start blowing past the rings, it's got to go somewhere. It's going to go out the vent tube, and it's going to blow oil all over the place. So yeah, I mean, they can make a really big mess, but fortunately those engines are a lot more heavy duty than your gas engines, but oh Lordy.
Yep.
So yeah, you got to pick a
So
body for your optic. I would do a full body.
no, that defeats the purpose
Yeah,
of
but everybody
an
else is doing buggies. Now you got to make something cool of it. Oh, a Little Red Express Dodge truck.
well, that's what the Econo line started was gonna be, was a little red express crawler, but I
With
ended up
stacks.
going with it. Yeah. Well, I was gonna do the Dodge, and that's actually what I was searching for when I found that little Econo line truck.
Oh, looking for a
But
step side, and
I
that
was
would be a
gonna.
good body for Northwest Scalar design. A step side short box Dodge, that would look really cool. A 70 mid 70s
Well, they're
one.
doing. Well, you saw they're doing the first gen Dodge in the Battle of the Brands, the new limited edition trucks.
Yeah, but that's like a early 80s one or late 70s or whatever. I'm talking about it'd be the generation that still has the same hood as the Trail Duster. We call that the bird bath hood because it's got two pockets.
Okay.
And that hood lasted till, I'm going to say, well, put you this way, the Little Red Express was made 2 years, 78 and 79. The 78 has a bird bath hood and the 79 doesn't. So that's probably the transition was 79.
So were the Little Red Express known as Dodge Ram, or was that pre-Ram?
It was a D100 chassis truck. So it's,
So it's pre-Ram.
uh, did they have Ram? Because I don't know if they used the Ram yet. I don't know if the Ram was, because at one point everything was a Ram, you know. Um, yeah, I don't know when the Ram came, because I remember when Ram came in the marketing. Because I remember that as a kid watching it on their commercials. Dodge trucks are Ram tough, and they'd always have the goat on the side of the mountain or whatever. But yeah, I don't know when that came into their marketing. But the Little Red Express was basically, it was a base model truck, a D100. And they had two half tons. They had the 100 and the 150, but so the D100 was the lightest chassis or whatever, the lightest drive line, whatever, because it was, short box, half ton, 2-wheel drive. And then the D's were 2-wheel drives and the W's were 4-wheel drives.
Okay, well, I just looked it up. Google says
History of Ram.
that from 1981 to 1993 was the first, what they're calling the first generation Rams. And it was initially known as a Dodge Ram 150, and it spanned from 1981 to 1993 year models.
Sure. Yeah,
So,
because
so
they
yeah,
had,
the Little Red Express is not a Ram.
right.
I really, really liked the Little Red Express. I wanted to convert my 03 Cummins to look like a Little Red Express.
Dude, I owned one. That truck got me more attention than any vehicle I've ever owned. I could not, every time I pulled into a gas station, some woman over the age of 40 would come over and say, "Oh, that's really a cute truck." And I'm like, it was like oh God. Yeah. I mean, women over 40 love that truck for some reason, at least around here. That truck got a lot of attention by that age group of women. Couldn't figure that out. It was just like, really? And the Corvette, that was, because that's kind of like a status thing for some people. Like, I can't talk to him. He's got a Corvette. It's like, I'm a regular monkey like you, but whatever. Corvettes get more attention, I think, from little kids because they're like, oh, wow, it looks just like the Hot Wheels. It's a Corvette, that type of thing. But yeah, the Little Brick Express, women over 40, I just, just come up and start talking to you.
Wow.
Like, and then
I had a chance to buy one time, and I actually walked away from it because I was like, why would I want a Dodge? And then I went and bought a Chevy. I should have bought, man, those Little Red Expresses, they're bringing crazy money right now. God.
what was neat
Cool
about
truck.
it, you could do a lowering kit. I mean, you didn't even have to buy a lowering kit. You bought existing Dodge parts. You could level it and drop it. I think it was like 3.5 inches, because the thing sits like a farm truck stock. You know, the wheel
Yeah.
wells are extremely open. And the tires look tiny inside the wheel wells. And you used lower control arms off a half-ton Dodge van, which is the D series, like a D100 or whatever. You used D100 lower control arms. And the reason it did it is it had a different profile. So it raised the wheel up higher. You know, the what do you call it? The knuckle or anyways, you know, where the axle
I would
attaches
have
the, but
lower
it,
the spring pocket. Yeah.
no, well, then in the rear, so the front was torsion. So you just had torsion bars. And so then you could also tune it with the torsion bars, but then that starts to screw up your camber. So you got,
Wow, I didn't know it had torsion bars. That's crazy.
oh yeah, Mopar had torsion bars up until the 80s or somewhere around there, but on the two-wheel drives. So you could lower it like 2 or 2.5 inches in the front, and then you did a spring perch over the top of the axle in the rear. And and then you got like 3 inches lower in the rear or something like that, and it leveled it out. And it looked perfect. It hugged the ground better. It changed the performance immensely, because I think stock they came with like 275s in the rear or 295s. It came with big tires on it. I think the fronts were 245s, you know, something like that.
275, 35, or no, 235, 75, 15. I think what they actually came with.
Sure. But yeah, it really
Because
changed the way it handled. It was, and when I bought that thing, it was a truck that somebody didn't take the best care of it. Maybe could barely afford a second, you know, a hot rod or whatever. And I put a new radiator cap on it, and then everything started leaking. I had to put a heater core in it. Everything just started popping hoses and leaks under pressure. So it's like, oh, this cooling system hasn't been under pressure for how many decades? And then everything, heater core, radiator, everything just started blowing out. That's hard to look
man,
at.
that's
There we
weird.
go.
My video feed,
Huh?
my video, my video feed is messing up. I think it's on my end.
Yeah. I
See,
we're fun.
I'm looking at it on YouTube. Okay.
Oh Lordy.
Uh,
We've been
okay.
talking for 2.5 hours. We should cut this off since we're
Oh,
talking about
okay.
Dodge trucks. We've completely wandered away from RC, but anyways.
I can't believe you're seriously not even going to mention anything about my 4-wheel drive kit.
What four-wheel drive kit?
The 10.4.1.
I still don't know what you're talking about.
Oh gosh, hold on.
You're gonna get us back on RC, huh? Mark says he's got a 66 Chevelle. Nice. Mark, I got a 63 Dart right now. It's like the start of economy cars. It's a tiny little car that weighs 2,800 pounds. And then it's got a stroker 360 stroked out to a 411 or something like that. Small block. And I call it bad decision. My 63 Dart. It was the first year Dodge made the Dart as a small car. Before that, it was a full size car, and then it got really small. It became their entry level car, you know. Anyways, your four-wheel drive kit, what is it for?
So it's kind of funny. So MIP, back in the day, they made a 4-wheel drive kit for the RC10,
Right.
which never and MIP sold it. Well, then later, Factory Works did a 10.4 kit. Now the MIP kit was called the Legend 410 kit. Then Factory Works did a 10.4 kit. Well, this new RC10 4-wheel drive is actually pretty much a Factory Works 10.4 kit. But Factory Works a little while ago released, before anybody else said they were going to, well, and even after MIP said, we're not doing another four-wheel drive, and our Team Associated said, yeah, we're not doing a four-wheel drive. So Factory Works said, we're going to do a 10.4.1. And that's what this is a 4.1 kit. So you can take a Stealth RC10 and convert it into a four-wheel drive. Now, MIP doesn't want to miss the game.
Sure.
So they are releasing a new four-wheel drive kit. And at the recent Legends race, they actually debuted it and raced it. So it's kind of cool. Looks like some of the four-wheel drive stuff's coming back. But I'm actually building one of the 10 4.1s myself, so I just thought it was neat.
Are you going to race at all or not?
We don't have any tracks anymore. Yeah, we lost our last track this year, actually. This year. Pretty sad. So, I don't know. But I was you were fussing about being over Team Associated, and I'm kind of over them too, but I had already bought this and just
Sure.
I'm kind of committed to doing it. I've already got all the parts to build it, so now I just need to build it
You don't regret it?
and put it on. Yeah, oh yeah. And put it on the shelf next to the others. So, oh. You got any good plans for the weekend?
Dude, it's like Wednesday. What do you mean?
Well, I know, but I mean, are you going to do any crawling or anything fun for the weekend?
Well, that's funny you say that. The guys I go with actually reached out and kind of rattled my cage like, hey, you going to come out and drive with us this year? Because we haven't seen you in a while. And I'm like, okay, I'll try to make out the next one. And I haven't seen when the next one is yet, but so yeah, I'm looking at going out. I don't know. It's hasn't been as big a deal to me lately for some reason. Just been kind of hot and cold with everything else going on, and it's kind of the change in the season now, and I got to start looking for work and get back to that way of life. So I just haven't thought about it as much. But anyways, yeah, we're going
Well,
up
I
on
mean, it is getting.
We're going up on 2.5 hours, Rob. My butt's getting sore.
All right. Mine too.
Oh Lordy.
It was
Well,
fun.
everybody who's hung out, and thank you for participating in the chat. And this is Rob from Xtreme Toyz in the Dallas, Texas area. He has an RC business where he buys and sells RCs of all kinds, aircraft, boats, stuff with wheels, all that stuff he buys and sells. You can find him on his own group on Facebook. You can find him on eBay, of course. He's active in my group on Facebook as well. If you see him post under Xtreme Toyz, which is spelled Xtreme, and then Toyz, Toyz. And he just put a
I just
link in
posted
the
my YouTube.
comments. Yep. So, and me, of course, is the Origin Factory. You can find us on Facebook and Instagram under the Origin Factory, and of course on YouTube. And if you would help us by giving us a like or a subscribe, that would help us out a lot, because we're not that far away from getting monetized. So that's kind of the big thing I'm trying to get us to right now, is get us over the hump to get to the channel demonetization. So start to make a little money off of this would be nice, to get a little bit of reimbursement. So anyways, thank you for watching, and thank you for hanging out with us. Hope you enjoyed it. And we will try to do something next week. We're still trying to figure out the days and the times to do it. So that's kind of fluid right now. So I can't exactly say every day at this time, but just kind of doing and learn as we go. Any last words, Rob?
Hey everybody, jump in John's group and tell us if you would like us to do it would it be better for you guys if we did it later in the day? You know, if there's anything you want us to talk about, also post that. Shoot.
Well, yeah, throw it in the
Okay.
comments too. We've kind of been going through every comment that's made during the live stream. So we've been interacting with you guys as much as you've been talking. Alan's giving a wave from Australia. So thanks, Alan. Alan's been watching us for a while now.
That's awesome.
So anyways, we're going to sign off and we'll put me over to there. And thank you very much for watching. And we'll see you soon. God bless.